Hi there. It's November 23rd, and we're continuing our journey through the first letter of Peter. We're starting from chapter 1, verse 13, going through to chapter 2 and verse 10. So in the beginning of our reading, Peter is encouraging the people that he's been writing to be pure and holy, like God is holy, not to be pushed into shape by the passions that used to rule them, the things that used to demand of them their obedience, things like the old laws and so on. But actually, Peter wants them to be holy as God is holy. That sounds a big demand, but of course it's God who's giving them. God is giving us the ability to be holy. He makes us holy by his holiness. He makes us separate, distinct. He makes us as those for whom there's no rivals to his affection. And this is what God is calling his people to be. And he's done that, Peter says, through the blood of Christ. It's through the blood of the cross. It's through that washing by the Lamb, he says, who is without spot or blemish. The perfection of Jesus, he points to, will also become our perfection, will become our holiness. He then says, then when that happens, you will be like newborn babies. You will be yourselves without spot. You'll be completely washed, completely clean, completely new. And he goes on in chapter 2 to talk about the fact that we are being made into living stones in this building that God is building. He says, first of all, you've been brought to the stone that is Jesus, the stone that is the cornerstone, that Jesus is the cornerstone of all things. And we are being built into as living stones into the building, which is the body of Christ. Remember that this was a time when the temple was under threat, or the center of the Jewish world was the temple. But Peter is saying, no, you are being made into the temple. Remember, Jesus described himself as the temple who would be raised up in 3 days. And so there's a powerful picture here of us as living stones, as followers of Jesus, being made into the temple of God. And he quotes from Isaiah and also from Psalm 118 here about the stones that God is putting in. He says, I'm setting up in Zion a chosen, precious cornerstone. Trust him, you'll not be ashamed. That is Isaiah quoting. And then he also says that the stone that the builders rejected has become the chief stone, the cornerstone. This is from Psalm 118, a very important psalm in the worship of Israel. It was the psalm that concluded the great Hallel at times of festival, very well known. And Peter is basically saying, Jesus is the one. Jesus is the stone that has been rejected. But now we are also being built into that body. And then he has this wonderful acclamation at the end of the people of God. He says, once you were no people, now by being living stones in this temple, you are becoming a people. Once you were far from God, now you're close to God. And therefore he wants you to announce, to proclaim, to be the reflectors of the good news that Jesus is alive, the good news that Jesus is King. He wants you to bring the King into the earth. He has called you out of darkness into his amazing light for this purpose. Once you had not received mercy, now you have received mercy. What an amazing privilege this is for us. What an amazing joy that we have received, we are receiving through being the people of God, through being these living stones who are being built into the structures of God, being built into the life of God. Not just stones, not just blocks of stone, but actually living stones, stones that border other stones in the building. This is what Jesus is seeking to build up. This is how he's seeking to bring his kingdom into the earth. Let's be his living stones today. Have a very good November 23rd.